So we're at this really interesting turning point with artificial intelligence. For a long time, the whole goal was to make AI explainable, to basically give us a technical manual for how it makes decisions. But now, a totally new idea is taking hold: explanatory AI. And really, it's the difference between getting a manual and getting a partner. That shift, it's changing everything about how we're going to work with machines.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dig into the problem with the AI explanations we have right now. Then, we'll look at the big shift to this new, more human-focused approach. We'll break down this cool 8-dimensional model that really defines what's changing. And finally, we'll see how this all plays out in the real world, with some insights from healthcare pros who are right there on the front lines. Okay, so what is the actual problem we're trying to solve here? Well, it's a bit of a paradox, really. Sometimes the more information an AI throws at us, the less we actually get it.
I mean, think about it. We've got these incredibly smart, powerful AI systems. But for the person who actually needs to use them, say a doctor, a nurse, a financial analyst, the explanations they get can be totally baffling. So what gives?
Well, the current standard is what we call Explainable AI, or XAI for short, and its main job is all about algorithmic transparency. Basically, it's built for the tech folks, auditors, data scientists. It's laser-focused on answering just one question: how did the model get to this answer? It's all about showing the nuts and bolts.
Okay, let's make this real. Imagine a hospital AI suggests lowering a patient's drug dosage. The XAI explanation spits out a list of data points, something like kidney function plus 0.15. Now, technically that's transparent, right? But is it actually useful for a doctor? Not really. It has zero clinical context. It doesn't tell a story or give them anything they can really act on.
And this really gets to the heart of what researchers are calling the transparency paradox. For the longest time, everyone just assumed that more transparency equals more understanding. But it turns out the evidence shows the exact opposite is often true. Just flooding users with a fire hose of technical data can actually confuse them more and even make them trust the system less. So, yeah, we clearly need a better way. And that brings us to this big shift, moving from explainable systems to explanatory ones. It's that jump from a technical manual to a true partner.
Explanatory AI completely reframes the goal. It's not about just showing its math homework. Instead, it's trying to answer a much more human question. Why does this actually make sense, right here, right now? And it does this using things like stories, dialogue, and analogies. All the tools we humans use to explain stuff to each other every day.
So if you look at them side by side, the difference is stark. XAI is for the experts. It's focused on the how, and it gives you raw technical data. Explanatory AI, that's for the rest of us, the end users. It's focused on the why, and it tells you a story. It's a fundamental shift from looking inside the model to focusing on what matters to the user.
Now, this whole shift didn't just happen overnight. If you go back to the 80s, you had simple rule-based systems that could explain their own logic. Fast forward to the 2010s, and we got these cool statistical tools like LIME and SHAP that let us peek inside the so-called black box. But the real game changer? That's been the recent explosion of generative AI. For the very first time, we have the tech to actually build these smart, adaptive, storytelling partners.
Okay, to make this all a bit more concrete, researchers have actually come up with a model that defines this new paradigm. It breaks it down across 8 different dimensions, which gives us a really solid framework for understanding and, actually building these new kinds of systems.
So, here they are, the 8 dimensions of explanatory AI. Explanatory aim, communication style, output format, cognitive load, epistemic fidelity, personalization, the transparency comprehension balance, and finally, inclusivity and adaptability. Now, you can think of these as a blueprint for building AI that's genuinely helpful. They cover everything from the basic goal of an explanation to how it talks to us and what it shows us. But they also dig into these really important human factors, like not overwhelming us with info, making sure the explanation actually sounds believable, and tailoring it to the person who's listening. Let's zoom in on a few of the most important ones.
This really highlights some of the biggest shifts. For one, instead of just abstract numbers, explanatory AI uses stories and metaphors. And instead of just dumping a mountain of data on you, it uses something called progressive disclosure. That just means it gives you the headline first and then lets you drill down for more details if you want them. It also moves away from being obsessed with pure algorithmic accuracy to focusing on what's called epistemic fidelity. That's a fancy way of saying the explanation just needs to feel plausible and make sense in the real world. At the end of the day, the goal is simple: adapt the AI to the human, not force the human to adapt to the machine.
Okay, so this all sounds great on paper, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's ground all this theory in some actual evidence from a study with healthcare professionals and see what they really need.
I mean, this quote really says it all. A caregiver from the study said, "We need systems that talk like a human being, not like a manual." Wow. That's a direct plea for a narrative, human-like communication style, which is especially crucial when you have diverse teams, maybe with language barriers.
And here's another one. A different participant mentioned how much videos helped them and wished the system could explain things that way. It's a great reminder that just a wall of text is often not enough, especially in a super high-stress, fast-paced job. People want dynamic, different ways to get information, like video.
So the big takeaway from this fieldwork is just crystal clear. The people actually using these tools don't really care about perfect technical transparency. What they want is clarity. They want adaptability. They want a story that makes sense in their workflow. In short, they value actually understanding the advice way more than seeing all the messy math behind it.
So when you boil it all down, this whole explanatory AI paradigm really rests on three key ideas. Number one, put human understanding first. It's not about the model, it's about the person. Number two, communicate like a human. Use stories, analogies, dialogue. And number three, adapt to the user. Personalize everything based on their job, their expertise, and what they need in that moment.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty powerful question to think about. As these AI systems get better and better at communicating, as they go from being these opaque black boxes to really persuasive partners, our relationship with them is going to change big time. I mean, if an AI can explain itself so perfectly that it's tailored to convince you specifically, well, that opens up some huge new questions about responsibility, about trust, and about what the future of working alongside AI is really going to look like.